really exciting to do this. So we'll find out a bit more about you in just a second, but just before we do, let's give a couple of shout outs to people in our fabulous community, because I've got to tell you, David, we've got some amazing people that join us here on every session. Somebody's that was interesting. We've got a loop back then. But yeah, we've got some great people on here who join us all the time, and some of them I don't think have ever missed a session. So hi to Andreas, guten Tag. Hello Kirsty, hi Stuart, hi Michelle, and who else have we got in here? We've got Gareth, of course. Gareth Hank's going to be so excited. One snip of an After Effects logo and he's all over it. You'll be pleased to know, David, he'll be full of questions for you, I am sure. Some guy called Tim in the background, don't know much about him, really. Hi, Tim. And we've got Jackie here, which is really good. Excellent. And so many more. It's just so hard to keep up with everybody. But hi, everyone. So, David, for people who've never seen your stuff before, never met you before, don't know who you are, let's have how would you describe yourself and intro yourself?
So hello everyone, my name is David Okus. I'm a half Italian Nigerian artist living in London, and I'm mainly an illustrator, but I'm moving into animation. So let's say I'm not a perfect animator at the moment, but I do more like moving images, and I'll just quickly bring you through some work we're going to be looking today, at least to move a little bit.
Yeah.
So cool. I will just show you a little bit of my style. Like normally I'm very heavy within vector digital illustration. And what I do is almost like create a continuous loop that give a little bit of maybe hidden messages, bring positive energy to the people looking at it. I did a lot of things like playing with shoes. I did some work for Under Armour with fitness, and it's all about moving within the city. So as you can see, everything I do normally is all about creating the artwork, then bringing a lot of details together and just let it move.
Yep.
Then we have, show different things. So depending on every composition that you do, I think is just having a play with it and try to fill up the space, making everything do something.
I love the palettes of these, by the way.
I think the difference is why you like it is you have more gradient into this, rather the other ones are more like blocky, full colors. Then I don't know, you can really, pardon for the sound.
Love it. And of course, with the shoes, as we were saying in the green room just before we started, you're a fellow Posca boy, so you get out there and do a bit with the old acrylic markers, which is grand.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Then you have, I don't know, I like to play a lot with elements, and I think like you don't need to be like super crazy with animation. You can make something simple, but put a lot of element to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. And sometimes I also test like collage, take images, take videos, cut it out and put them together to create things like this. And I think for me, it's more like a journey learning animation, because obviously if you're not like an animator or you do stop motion and you come just from digital illustration, it's good to experiment like different things. Like at example, you see him take a shoe, throw it in, let the composition move, do something different. And I think everybody can come up with very great ideas just with, I don't know, different concept, let's say. You see, for music, covers.
So good.
So literally is everything that I do is mainly like just start the digital process, then divide every element, put them on separate layers, and then try to bring everything together and let it marry all in one, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, so that's pretty much it. I will show you some extra lettering that I did for the 36 Days of Type, as that was my main project that actually led me into the animation.
Yeah. There's so much good stuff. I was looking at your Instagram earlier. It's just a blaze of color. I love it. Really, really rich. Great work.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to this session. Really good.
Okay, so I'll pretty sure you like today. My idea was to work on something that, sorry, if it opens up.
Yeah.
Today my idea was working on this digital head, and I just wanted to bring everybody through maybe how to first see how to put down the layers on Illustrator, and then maybe move on to After Effects and see what you can do with it actually.
That sounds like a good plan to me. Absolutely. Let's do that.
So if anybody is familiar with Illustrator, you know, you can have, where's my layers? Okay. As you can see, at the very beginning of the way I do it is normally design the whole image that you want to have. So in this case will be the whole head. When it's a group, you can literally go on one layer, go here in the corner and say release to sequences. And when you release it to sequences, the way I do it is more divide individual item, you see. Just try to figure out what you want to move, because obviously when it comes to a face, you can create a face just by doing little movement. One should be your base of your face. One should be the base of your two lips, the top, the bottom side. Your tongue, your tooth should be on a separate layer. And that's literally how I work. I think creating layers to enable to move certain elements, so it almost gives like a feeling of going forward, backward, opening the eye, talking, or things like that. So this is normally how I will export it and bring it into After Effects. Actually, let's do it again.
Okay, so in the question in the chat is, were you commissioned for 36 days, or were you entering it just as
just
a normal punter?
Just myself. I think for me, it's not always about commission. I think sometimes having like a brief to follow can be interesting, because it's nice to draw a lot of things, but I think project like 36 Days of Type, if you really want to go dig into experimenting new styles, new skill sets and stuff, it's a very good place to be, because it's not only inspiring, but it pushes you to take 36 days and every day create something. And obviously you don't always want to recreate the same thing, but I think the difficult part is to create a series in those 36 that literally you look at them and you're like, okay, they're all in part of one exclusive series. And I think I've done 36 Days of Type for many years, but I've never done every single letter. And this year was the only time that I did it.
Perfect.
I was one of the winners, and I don't know, it feels almost like the more you do it, the better you get. And I took this as an experiment to test what I've learned from After Effects, obviously. Because in the back in the days, I wasn't using After Effects like I'm using it today. I was a little bit more intimidated of the program because there are so many things you can do. But as soon as I learned, I took 36 days of almost like test yourself in what you learn and see what comes out of it. And things got very well, so can't complain.
Yeah, I mean, that's true with most things, right? The more you do it, the better you will get at doing it.
Definitely.
It's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Because you can have a talent, but if you don't, you know, when you have a talent, if you just have a talent is one thing, but if you have talent and consistency, it just grows and grows, because I don't know, you just evolve with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do Inktober as well? Do you do Inktober?
Can I be honest? I wanted to start doing it. I've never done it before. I know that I love the Inktober, but it's always falling in a time of where it's very busy with work.
Yeah,
so it's just that October is a very, very busy month for me.
Busy month. Yeah.
So as you can see, I just brought into the composition, and obviously by entering the composition now, you can see like all the layers are separated. What I like doing normally is like I will actually highlight the elements. Like you see the hat, you will have a piece at the front, but then at the back you have the second side of the hat. So to make sure that you're moving them together, you need to highlight them just to make sure everything works together.
Yeah.
So I'll just
Oh, I get it. So you're actually labeling them that way, right? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Well, they're loving the colours of your work.
Thank you.
Really enjoying your work, sharing your Instagram around, which is nice. Having a good chat. Looking forward to seeing your working processes. So yeah, all good. I'm sure you're going to inspire a few people to try some things out on here. Excellent. People talking about Overlord, which we were talking about earlier on. Kirsty talking about what is Inktober. Kirsty, Inktober is the daily drawing challenge. It originally pen and ink, right, and photograph it, but these digital is fine as well. So and you put something in every day. Unfortunately, I never find out about it or remember it until about October the 5th. It's a bit late to start, and like David, a bit busy for me. But the Overlord. I'm a big fan of Overlord, Gareth. I like it, and Battle Axe.
Okay,
but
let's start like this at least.
Okay.
So that's it. I normally don't really have a way of starting. I just start and see where it brings me sometimes. So, and for everyone following, this will be just really, literally very basic keyframes. We're going to be using position, scale, and that's pretty much it. And maybe a little bit of the pin tool in some parts.
Okay. So is everything you do pretty much all keyframe driven? All
keyframe. Yeah. I don't know why. I like that process of keyframe. It's just because some people maybe don't like it or maybe use something to simplify the movement. But I think, I mean, that's the hard part to get into. Then you can use the other little helpers if it can make sense. But I think we started like this, I got a bit stuck into that.
Yeah. Oh, so you are using a few expressions as well. So
definitely. So the main one I normally use is always like the loop out. It will be either the ping pong or the cycle.
Backwards and forwards.
Yeah. And then I think one thing that really helped me a lot sometimes is using mask a lot.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to need it for those upper eyelids, I reckon, aren't you? You're going to need to do a bit of masking in there. Yeah.
Because you see at the moment, but you see every time I put layers, you see this margin. This is the margin that will help me make a solid cutout from it as well afterwards.
Yeah. Really hoping that that people watching are going to get, reach out for Illustrator, start making simple stuff, right? Simple stuff, and build on it. Get used to it.
Because it's always the simple stuff that bring you to the next level, I think.
Yeah.
Is you start simple, then you become bigger and bigger. I think the more you use the program, the more familiar you are. And sometimes what takes you really long will literally take you seconds once you start being on it all the time as well.
Yeah. I have a particular name for After Effects. Yeah, I call it Photoshop on wheels.
That's true. So true.
It's I get to speak about it on occasion. I was at the photography show actually a couple of weeks ago, doing an intro to After Effects just there, and I said, you guys already know a load of stuff to do. If you use Photoshop, then you know a load of things already.
Yeah.
All you need to do is just add in the dimension of time, and as soon as they all managed to show up for my talk on time, I guess they kind of nailed that. So
oh, but it's so true, because you can play literally with anything, images, vector. So it's almost like that feeling of collage. That's why Photoshop, I love Photoshop, because textures, reflection, you can really put a lot into it. Okay, so this mask.
Stuart's asking, have you enjoyed bringing your style to stickers and animating? I mean, it looks like you have, but look, there is joy in your work.
I actually love it. You know why? Because I've been animating a little bit, and I've done a competition with the Illustration World Series. So we have this bunch of artists that we still have like a big group chat. We go meet each other out. And an artist, Keo Match, told me about AR, and he told me, look, if you animate, you can actually do augmented reality with stickers and things like that. And he said, and for you, it would be very easy, simple. And I was like, come on, you're playing. But then we went into it, and I started animating my sticker. And I think augmented reality with After Effects is just another level. I think to see your work coming alive when it's just simple flat.
Yeah, some great stuff out there at the moment as well. With I've seen really, really great stuff. I love it. Okay. And again, there are tools in the Adobe platform to do that. Adobe Aero.
Yeah.
So you can get started with that straight away.
I'm looking into that as well.
Yeah, so I've done a few things just around my house and garden for my daughter's children, and so they can walk through one of my illustrations in the house, which is just crazy. Love it. Sandrine in the chat. Oh, Sandrine, you're wondering what the release option in Illustrator was. Oh, yeah, release to layers. There's a sequence, brings all of your layers in. So if you've drawn a flat thing, it will bring each group out onto its own layer, or each path out onto its own layer. And if you use build will add bits on as it goes. So you can literally build out a file, but that's less common in my experience to use that. That's good. One thing I wonder in AE is how people to manage to remember all the effects, given that some have obscure names. You remember what you use, and then when you're done with using that, I think you branch out and you think, I don't know what that does, so you try it. It's only by trying it when you find out if it has value for you. That's coming together nicely.
You have to make so many mistakes, and don't get me wrong, the mistakes actually teach you the right way of doing it. Because a lot of people, that was my first fear, like, oh my God, there's so much doing. You literally need 3 options, and you're pretty much in for it,
Yeah. I think people are too afraid of making mistakes. They don't embrace mistakes for the teaching point that they are, the learning point they are. But, don't be afraid of mistakes, people. They're there for a reason. Do them, no one's going to get hurt. Not in After Effects anyway. Yes. And Gareth in the chat is big on After Effects. He waits for the next After Effects related stream. He can't. And he just says he doesn't go beyond page turn in effects. I find that difficult to believe, Gareth, to be honest. And Sandrine's also saying, I don't know everything Photoshop does. No one does. No one does. It's too big. It's over 30 years old, and it's too big.
Even with 40 years, you will still not be able to use every single element on it.
That's the beautiful thing about it. And so you're easing, I notice you're using a lot of easy ease on those frames as well. So, yeah. Do you do any parenting? Do you parent some of your things together?
Not a lot. Not a lot. Just let's say like pre-compose, and then maybe depends. I've tried it in the past, but not really big into it. I haven't dived too much into it.
Where did the inspiration come from for this particular piece that you're working on?
I think because a lot of time you see a lot of typography and just smiley faces in my work. Yeah. So I wanted, instead of doing like typeface, because I think you did one stream with the King, Matt. when it comes to
Matt, oh yeah,
typefaces. He's the king for me, you know, like he's amazing in that. But me, because I normally play with smiley faces, just this outline stuff. I just wanted to say, like, instead of doing something that I do traditionally, let's maybe do a face. So at least it's a bit more, you have more into it, if it makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, I liked Matt. Matt was great.
He's fantastic. I love his work.
Yeah. Donna's asking about parenting. So parenting, Donna, is a way that you can link the actions of one layer to another layer. So if one layer's moving, if you've got something that's maybe moving up, you can link another layer so it just follows it without you having to keyframe the whole thing separately. And then you can add on to that a bit of script, so you can set a little bit of a delay so it follows shortly after. It's loads of different things, but it basically sets one action as the parent and the child objects follow it around. There you go. No, in fact, Gareth's helping out with that in the chat as well, which I've just seen. So. Yes. So you were born in Germany.
Yeah.
But you've traveled around a bit, right? You've done.
Yeah, because my parents, like, my mom is Italian and my father is Nigerian, and they met together, like, in Germany. All my brothers are born in Germany, but I don't know, at the time I think they just moved because lifestyle was better back in Nigeria. But I don't know, then when we was 11, I think it was time to move. So we moved to Italy. I don't know, my parents like traveling a lot, and it's a great thing, I'll be honest with you. It's a big gift to travel around, because it just opens your minds very quickly, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so you've just pre-composed that, and just for those of you that don't know what pre-composing is, it's kind of like sort of creating a smart object. It's like nesting the elements inside of a separate file, so you can control those independently.
So normally what I do to not waste a lot of time sometimes is, like, you can literally copy. Let me cover the eyes first, the left. You can copy with the pre-compose. What I like is you can literally take the group, transform it as a 3D object, and rotate it 180 degree, and it gives you the same reflection. So instead of, like, if you don't want to waste time doing the eye a bit different and you want it similar, it's an easy one to, you see now you're.
There you go.
And you see it's already starting to get, like, a little bit of shape in the eye.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it.
It's just like little loops. I think it's funny to see.
But that, I mean, that's what we have. We have lots and lots of looping content now. It's really, you know, it's very appealing. That's why people like it. You know, it's very engaging. Gareth was asking what drew you to After Effects, and that was a conversation you had with someone else, right? Who encouraged you to dive into it, or?
No, I think it's more like the AR was something that I find out right now, because I really didn't know nothing about it. But After Effects, I think, like, I came from traditional art into digital art, and then you start doing it for so many years. If it doesn't go a step further, you almost feel like you're always doing this. Even if you have a style, it can be really like, wow, I always do digital, you know? So you want to try and find something that gives you an extra. And I think having a flat image is beautiful, but if you have the potential to learn and say, like, okay, you know what, let me take 3 months just to get into the basic, and you start seeing that your work can move the way you want it to move. I don't know, it's there's a satisfaction behind it. It's like the next step. Like now for me, my next step is going into 3D art, and I'm looking into Cinema 4D and Blender. But you see, as we said before, it's almost like if After Effects give you 1,000 opportunities within art, or million, when it comes to the 3D world, is literally you get more intimidated because there's so much on 3D platforms. But I think it's all about throw yourself into it. It doesn't need to be perfect, or like you don't need to compare yourself to great artists. That's what I would say when you start. Because when you compare yourself, you kind of feel like, oh my God, maybe it's not for me. But it's not for you. They just spend more time with it, and maybe they're there since day one that it came out. So that's the thing. Also, when you compare yourself like that, you know, you're kind of defeating yourself before you've even got started. You know, it's almost you go to war and you're already lost. You know, so it's very weird. But I know I don't want to blame people, because you know what you're not confident in sometimes can scare you. But it's also true that everything takes time. Doesn't matter how long it takes. You can even be 2-3 years for somebody, but maybe they didn't have the right mindset when they begin working on it. But when you get stick into it and let it become a routine, I think that's where you learn the most out of it.
I like deadlines personally. Deadlines are good for me. If people say, "Oh, can you have a look at doing this?" and it just drifts. If they say to me, "I need it tomorrow morning by 8 o'clock," I'm like, I'm on it. Yeah. So that's the thing. Always push the envelope, right? Always step out into the "I'm not very comfortable here" zone.
You have to.
Yeah, do it. What is the worst that could happen? You know, that's the thing to ask yourself.
There are two options. Either it goes very good, or it goes. I mean, but if you don't put yourself there, how will you know as well? You know, sometimes.
Yeah. That's it. You won't know until you've tried. And by try, I mean really try. Make a few mistakes, you know, and learn from them, and then go back to it. Even if you need to take a break in between, go back to it. And you'll get there. Yeah. Tim's talking about me doing some work. What's that? Why we only stream for 90 minutes so Tony actually does some work. This is true. I've been at work since 4:15 this morning, actually. This is a nice break. That's why I look this tired. I'm only 28. No. Oh, Reverb Mike's in the chat. Always with the quippy lines. Keep them coming, Mike. It's very good. I work ahead to beat the deadlines, then I'm done and on to the next one. Yeah. Oh, and Tim's sprouting some wisdom. The expert has failed many more times than the one who gave up before even trying. Yes. Yes, this is true. I like this wisdom. I'm going to put that into the dojo, Tim. So where did you study? Did you study here in the UK? Or?
Yeah, so I started like some courses of graphic design in Milan when I was living in Milan. And I did art school, but I don't know. I felt like art school was too very far from what I wanted. And when I came here, I did UAL, London College of Communication in Elephant and Castle. Amazing facility. They had everything to do your craft. So
yeah, it was the London College of Printing back in my day.
Yeah, nice. But still, I think from the UAL is like the biggest. You have everything, like literally laser cutting, 3D printing. You have a lot of stop motion studios.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. Veronica, on here sometimes. Veronica Rafa, she's on here occasionally. She's an ex-grad from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you ever tried, as well as After Effects, have you ever tried Animate? Have you ever tried Animate CC?
I've seen it, I've opened it, but I don't know, it's slightly different to what I'm used to. Because I don't know, I feel almost like every program in Adobe has a very familiar look and feel. When I went to Animate, for some reason I felt disorientated. So I gave it a go, but I felt a bit, I don't really get it.
Yeah, it's because it's a former Mac. Well, I mean, originally it was a Wave Technologies product back in 1995, and then it was acquired by Macromedia, who were, of course, in turn acquired by Adobe, and it brought quite a lot to Adobe. But one of the things they didn't do with it was mess with it.
Okay, but when you say Macromedia, you mean Flash?
It was Flash, yeah. So Animate was Flash, but that's its legacy. So. It was originally in 1995. It was Future Splash Animator. I still have my manual for that over on a bookshelf over there, bizarrely, and I won't throw it away because it just proves how long I've used it. And I like it. Then it became Flash. Flash for a long time, and then rebranded as. But when the whole Flash thing started to go a different direction, then became Animate CC. But to my mind, it's got one of the loveliest drawing engines in it. It's got a really cool drawing engine.
Because don't get me wrong, when I remember back in the days, Flash, when people was using it and I saw the animation, I thought it was one of the best programs to animate. But it was, I don't know how to say it, it almost feel like After Effects is much more simple to use and more user-friendly. Rather, that one is still that same... it feels like Macromedia. The first time I watched it, I was like, whoa. Like,
well, I mean, the grand thing, I mean, After Effects is wonderful, and you get in some ways you get a lot more scope. But where Animate, I think, really comes out on top is the fact that if you want to do stuff that's HTML5 animations using the canvas element, that's something you can do from Animate. And but it's a very different learning curve. It doesn't feel like Adobe World. Inside of Animate, even though it is, and Adobe have brought so much to it. But I just wondered if you tried it, because it's it's interesting. It's different, very, very different way of working.
It's
like working continually in Live Paint. Which is actually, as I understand it, where Live Paint in Illustrator came from. They used some of the math and the tech from Macromedia, from Flash, brought that into Illustrator, and that's why we get some of those groovy things. Oh yeah, it's Steve saying about Wade Acuff doing pushing out of his comfort zone a lot. This year he's done a new theme every month with sketch tiles he's not 100% comfy with. Amazing to see. Nice. I like testing things like that. Yeah. I'll subscribe to your newsletter, Tim. Tim Say Is Wise. That's what you should call it. Tim Say Is Wise. You can actually bring that under my umbrella, Tim. You could do that if you want. You can bring it to the Work Smarter, Not Harder dojo. We'll put it out for you. Reverb Mike used Animate when it was called Flash. There you go. Flash. Oh. Oh, that's what Sandra was put in the chat. There you go. Is ActionScript still part of it? Yeah, sort of. But you understand, it's more JavaScript. It uses Ease.js, I think, is the thing it uses. But they're all, I can't remember off the top of my head. The best person to ask for something like that would be a guy called Joseph Lebrec. Fantastic educator and fantastic Animate guy. We ought to get him on, actually. Be early in the morning for him, mind. Oh, Kirsty's been pushing herself out of her comfort zone with drawing. Good on you, Kirsty. Gareth saying there's a real 80s vibe to David style. Yeah, I was getting that. I think it has. Very, very much so.
I'm an 80s guy as well, so
there you are.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But you were born in it, so you probably didn't experience that much of it.
Still, my soul is from the 80s.
Your soul is from the 80s. I think a lot of people's souls are impacted by the 80s at the moment. You see it everywhere for the last few years. Which is great for me. So so I was there. I remember it.
Yeah.
I was at college.
Good times, actually.
Yeah.
The best times.
Yep. Yeah, I was at college at the beginning of it, creative director by the end of it.
Nice.
Wacky. Actually, no, creative director by the beginning of the next one, 1990, yeah. Yes. Man, getting old. It's very, very layer intense, isn't it? Your work's got
definitely
like lots.
But you can see.
So
already.
do you storyboard any of this? Do you kind of, or do you just? I think you said at the beginning actually, you kind of just get it in there and see where it goes. Is that it, or do you ever plan it? Do you?
Let's say like a storyboard will be more like, let's say that if there is a story, if something needs to come in on the side, then I will do maybe like a little storyboard or see, because I always think like, a lot of people say, oh, David, you're moving, how do you do it? I think you can move anything, but depends how complex it is. You might need a sketch before just make like a storyboard to make sure also that things are working. Sometimes it's good. So maybe you sketch it out where you want it to come out with. You can put like some effects like a worm coming out of a shoe, but you need to find what is the right mechanism to actually make that motion. So I think the storyboarding part is good many times. But me personally, because I do simplistic stuff, I just go with whatever I have in my mind and then figure out how to separate the layers to move it.
That nose is hypnotic.
I know.
It's like really like, whoa. Sean's saying maybe add a wiggle to the feather-looking things on the neck. I think that's actually a collar, Sean. Just there.
Yeah, it's I did like a weird color.
Yeah.
I will show you later then.
Other cardinal points are available. We were talking about compass points. Sam Dream was saying, I'd need to plan because it can go west pretty quickly. And I said, or south, because that's the most common thing. Oh, it's gone a bit south. And she's saying other cardinal points are available. Yeah, people don't say it's gone north very often. Just noticed the lighting in here has gone dreadfully quiet. I'm just going to punch a light in on the side if I can. There we go. Unless we're talking about pricing. Yes, wiggle it just a little bit, unless you're talking about your fee, in which case no wiggle. That's something I don't really come across it much these days, but that's something I used to really not like, is if you'd give a price to somebody and they'd say, Is there any wiggle room on that, you think? No, I've sat and worked out a price. What's the price for it? Is there wiggle room on your out? Well, yeah, there is wiggle room on it, but do you want less output for less money, or less functionality, or? Oh, that light makes me look 10 years younger, really. Thank you very much, though, Craig. Thank you. There's always wiggle room north. Yeah. One of the many nicknames I acquired. North. It's because Cockney rhyming slang, north and south, mouth. So. Does David create social packs like Matt does for his lettering? Ooh, good question.
Not at the moment.
No? Not at the moment. No. Watch this space.
There are many things L'Oreal. I want to do, but I need more time on my hands sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Sandrine's saying the high key L'Oreal light. That's because I'm worth it, Sandrine. And if L'Oreal just want to send me the usual check, that would be really nice. Thank you very much. In fact, they're just talking to me right now and they're saying the usual check is on its way because there is no usual check. So that's easy for them to do. So there you are. Swish. Actually, thinking about it, I do use L'Oreal stuff in my beard. Weird. There you go. Forgot about that. So this is just cracking on nicely.
This is really copy and paste and move thing up a little bit and down.
Yeah. Well, we're just coming up on halfway through now. So we're about halfway. So we've got plenty of time. What would your ideal brief be, or your ideal client? Somebody that you haven't worked with yet. Who would you really want to work with? Let's frame it that way.
I don't think I have one in particular in terms like I like very like street urban environment. I think that urban kind of feel is what as a style and things to do I like a lot. But I think I think every client can be interesting depending on the brief that they have and how much creativity you can have within the brief, I think. And sometimes it's also nice to have certain companies that work with multiple artists together. That is what I even maybe love more, like having maybe a project where you can literally work with a 3D artist, an illustrator, a full animator. So everybody is really strong in individually. And when they come together, it's just like the best project you can ever have, I think. I think it's more, I like clients that maybe work with collaboration as a concept, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Do you know Geo Law?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely know Gio. Amazing guy as well. He was with me at the competition as well, but we still keep in contact, went for coffee, bar.
Oh, this was the other weekend. This was the one the other weekend. About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
It's already 3 weeks, maybe more, no? Illustration World Series.
Yeah.
I don't remember the date, but we was all together on it.
Ah.
No, great artist.
Yeah, I sense a collaboration there, I think. I think you could do some cool stuff together.
Definitely. We're looking for it, but let's see. Step by step. Let me just clear a bit of... Okay, coming back.
If that, so we had a little bit of a problem just before we got started today, but I mean, you can always, it's perfectly all right if you need to quit After Effects and relaunch. You can absolutely do that. It's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're back.
Yeah, you're back. Oh, Claudi's in as well. Hi, Claudie. Do you two know each other? Do you know Claudie Vagine? You ever met Claudie? Print My Soul?
No.
No? Two are Italians. You should. I thought all Italians knew each other in the,
Ciao,
in the
ciao.
creative world. Ciao, ciao.
No, I know.
Go.
But you have a lot of Italians like in the art world. But I think, I don't know, we like to blend with everyone. So I think, I don't know.
Absolutely. Claudia is lovely. Claudia is quite often to be seen on the US streams of an evening time here in the UK. She's there, does some gorgeous work. She's a fellow LinkedIn Learning author now as well, which is brilliant. Nice. She's got stuff on LinkedIn Learning. And actually, she's in one of my courses on LinkedIn Learning. As I drew her for my Illustrator iPad.
Nice.
Course.
You use Illustrator on your iPad?
Yeah. Yep. I do. Steve is saying, I think Sarah Coleman uses a Windows machine. Oh, I hate to break it to you, Steve. She doesn't. She uses a Mac. There you go. And Claudia's saying, ciao, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. There was a guy quite a long time ago who did stream on a PC. We get people who stream on PCs all the time. We're platform agnostic here. It's not, you use what's comfortable for you. Yeah, that's the thing. Use what works for you. Use what fits best within your budget and fits best within your functionality. I'd reverse that order around. Which thing works the best for you, and then what you can afford. John says he'd be 100% Windows if he had a computer sponsor too. Would you? I got offered one. I declined. I just like things the way they are. It's not broken. I'm not going to fix it. And Steve now likes Sarah even more. Sarah's epic. Now people are telling her on how Mac they are. This is very good. You can. And exactly, Tim's saying, why limit yourself to one OS? Absolutely. I have a Windows machine as well. Tim uses his Windows computer for streaming and his Mac for music. I use all of my machines for everything. It just depends. Reverb Mike uses both. Windows is lots of people who work in audio that I know use Windows. But then again, having said that, I know loads of producers in the US who use Macs. There you go. Oh, and Claudia, you are too kind. She's saying, thank you so much for the lovely words, but you forgot a key point there. I started graphic design by following you. I love it that you're one of my former students and my favourite. True. And Claudia, just for fun, just while you're having a couple of tech problems, Claudia actually spilt a cup of coffee over my laptop on a train when I was actually on my way to give a presentation that she had a ticket for.
Amazing.
No, that's fine. But if the presentation goes wrong, I caught it quick enough that luckily there were enough napkins around to soak the stuff up. But you can imagine, just before going on at this thing, it was at Hackney Picture House, I think, if I remember correctly. And I actually asked her to stand up in the audience and just said, by the way, if anything goes wrong, there's who you can blame, because she dropped her coffee over my laptop. It was an accident and it was fine. And everything worked out great. Lucky you just don't take sugar. That's the main thing. So what do you reckon? Are you going to save now and quit out and come back in? Or do you think you'll be?
I think because everything is moving already. So
yeah.
I was thinking if I can show the result of this one, then maybe we can try to do some extra things.
Yeah, that would be good.
Let's see again, just quickly one. Anyway, it's almost finished.
So when you render out, do you render directly from After Effects, or do you use Media Encoder?
I mean, normally what I will do is a Media Encoder, because I think if you export it, especially like in a MOV format, sometimes it's just so heavy, so it slows down a lot of things. But I think Media Encoder, the fact that it gives you the option to have export as a GIF or MP4. It just brings down a lot. Anyway, I need to quit. Sorry.
Yeah. If you get a chance, David, our very own Tim last Wednesday gave us a master crash course in Media Encoder that was actually brilliant. There were so many things in it. So it's from people who've never used it before right the way through to people who use it all the time. It's really, really good stream with some great nuggets in there. I've been combining GIFs and all sorts ever since.
It's amazing. It's infinite things. I think even when you want to try, you see other example, if you need something transparent, if you need just a background, especially for the augmented reality, I think it's nice to explore a media encoder because of the format sets that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim's just explaining in the chat that your drive is quite full.
Yeah, pardon everyone.
No, it happens. But this is the thing. When do you get time to stop and do these things? You know, when do you... these little bits of housekeeping.
I find time I clean up my computer desktop and everything every week or whatever, but I think it's more the memory I really need. I really need a new computer of this century, I guess.
Sandrine's asking, silly question, does anyone ever render with AE? Not a silly question. I'll render out of it periodically if I've got to do something. I don't want to launch anything else. If I'm on my laptop, I'll do that sometimes. And I can answer this one for you, David, because Claudi's asking where you're based. David's based in London. Claudi. He is. Studied in Milan. And then London. I'm just checking my homework. So Kirsty's saying, when do you stop and get time to clean your drive? This is it, Kirsty. When do you? If you're like me, you've got dozens of external drives all over the places that you just push stuff onto and you can't find anything.
I think it's the best way, but the life of the computer sometimes might suffer from it, isn't it?
I mean, I've got about 3 or 4 machines that have got 4 terabyte drives, which has solved the problem to some degree. Look at that. There we go.
You see, there is a little bit defect on the nose, but that's the main idea. When I said like simple elements, you can literally just use scale, position, rotate. You see on the ears, you have a little bit of rotate in the corner pin. Yeah. And it just move out a little bit. And then depending on how you want to use the composition, you can still recompose everything and use this as a top piece and then move it forward, backward, or even skew it sometimes.
Yeah.
So love it. As this one is done, do you guys want to maybe see, shall we do maybe a typeface and just play around?
Let's do that.
You can do it with some mask. So let's save this one again.
I'm sure everybody would love to see that. Let's have a quick check out of some of the things in the chat. So there's a little bit of chat there about Media Encoder still, which is really good. And don't follow Tim's advice for cleaning out your Mac, such as opening the drive, hosing it down with cold water. It takes only a moment, but the Mac will be very clean afterwards. Very good. Cloud is using Windows for After Effects and Premiere or any animation and video edit and production. Cool. Yep. And Mac for graphic design. I usually use whichever desk I'm closest to be honest. But if I have to do so, if I do something in Acrobat teaching wise, I have to do that on Windows. Does David have any preferred curves of his easing in and out on keyframes, or are you all linear? Gareth is asking.
Sometimes I just use the graph to edit the speed within keyframes. But apart that, I'm very linear. I think it's because I just use like those 1 or 2 seconds loop, depending if it's a loop out or cycle. But I think sometimes it's just you want to give that additional speed in one point and then slow it down. And I think that's where you can play with the graph and kind of create your curve in general.
Right. Sandrine hoovers her computer from time to time in the lower setting. True. I do on the big workstations as well, Sandrine. I do that too. Take the side off, give it a bit of a vacuum inside, because those fans, they draw all that stuff in, makes them warm. And Tim's saying we've got around 35-ish minutes, and it's correct. Okay. 34 now. Here we go. It's just me being slack and not noticing. Yeah, and Kirsty's pointing out that Tim's advice about hosing down the Mac is not actually good advice. You're right, Kirsty. Dorina is here talking about external hard drives. How do you manage to have 2 or more external hard drives plugged in and working at the same time? Easy. I don't know how many ports I've got on there, but easy. Yeah, as long as you've got the ports, or you can use a hub, but that sometimes doesn't work too well. Got plenty of ports. I use an external GPU, which gives me another 4 or 6 ports on there as well. So, Sandrine, still the airflow from the Hoover can spin up fans. This creates an electric current which could break the main board. This is true. You have to be careful about how you do it. Yeah, Steve's got an external USB connector that can hook up to 12 drives. There you go. And Sean's got an adapter to plug 4 drives into one. Yeah, I use a Blackmagic eGPU Pro. I don't think they're doing those anymore, mainly because of the M1 chip machines not needing them. Gives you a few extra spaces. Do you use any additional acceleration hardware, David? Do you use?
Not at the moment.
No?
Not at the moment.
Nice. When's the Halloween quiz? I might take the day off, says Gareth. I believe, Gareth, and maybe Tiny Tim in my ear will tell me if I'm correct or not. I think it's the 22nd of October. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
And there it is in the chat. Yes, that's super good.
October 22nd.
And I'll be joining in live from Castle Grafenstein. I'll actually be at Castle Grafenstein for that. So, you know, gets a bit dank down there, but I'm gonna go anyway. Do it from there. It's got great Wi-Fi. So epic. So we have a quiz coming up on the 22nd, David, if you want to catch it. A bit of tomfoolery and Halloween-y type stuff going on.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, so
getting good. Tim's working on new games for the spooky show. Don't want to miss it. Don't forget, by the way, people, we've been telling you about Max. I've got my Max t-shirt on today from last year. Weird. So don't forget, if you haven't registered for Max already, go to max.adobe.com and get registered so you can take part in the fantastic event that is only a couple of weeks or so away. I'll be there. Claudia will be there. Many people will be there. And it's free. Next year, it'll probably go back to being at the LACC, where it will be distinctly not free. So get it all in now. You never know, though. So USB hub with 7 USB ports. Yesterday, sometimes hubs can be problematic. You need a very fast doohickey connection. Stuart's asking, where do you get your color palette inspo from?
I mean, I'm good. I'm very good with color because I love color. I started black and white as an artist, but then when I started exploring color, I literally went crazy, and it gave me a better feel of what works good together. But I think for anybody that is struggling with color, if you go on Instagram, there are places like Typetopia that I think is a fantastic place to get like color combinations. You always have those solid palette of five colors, not more than that. And as I like to work always with maybe a white, black, I like to add maybe just those two extra colors that in reality I use a lot of blue, red, and yellow. That's also that's super true. But I don't know, you can really go crazy. I think that's because they're warmer, but you can also add example use like I like colors like pastel colors as well. You can give this like an aqua feel. And I always say like it always depends on which color you're gonna print them as well on. Because I think like RGB is very flashy, but sometimes if you don't have the right color, CMYK can lose a little bit the deepness of that rich color to it. So I will also suggest if you could buy, you have money to spend and you want to buy the Pantone palette color, that will give you like a solid reference for the real color as you see printed.
Oh, do you mean the actual reference book? The reference book
the
itself?
reference book, because don't get me wrong, I think it costs a little bit to be a reference book, but I think once you see it printed, that is always what you will expect when the printing comes out. So it's like the closest.
I use, so I do use Pantone, but just, have you ever tried True Match?
Okay, not really, True Match, no. But it looks similar, right? Or is it
is
only
similar,
like, what's that, the hex color?
Yeah, you get hex values in there as well. So but I have the, I have no idea where my Pantone, oh yeah, I can see it now. It's over on the other side of the room, but I have the Pantone book too. They're all good to have.
Yeah, because it's a good investment. At the end of the day, when you do a work, one thing that I think a lot of people want is you want it to be the same way you see it on your screen, you know, so.
Or as much as possible. I mean, remember your screen. So the, Gareth is asking me when I'm at the Pencil Museum. We haven't got a concrete date on that yet, Gareth. We're thinking of organising an Adobe UK meetup, and that sounds like a great venue. That would be awesome. I'll be up there for a few days anyway. But I'll let you know. And Sean's going to be working on a Max poster on Monday's stream. Wow, I'm looking forward to that. As is Sandra. Nice. Stuart loves your use of halftones as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Actually, thinking about it, Claudia, just while David's drawing away here, when I go up to the Pencil Museum, I'll swing by Manchester actually. Nice. And of course, people, don't forget, you can join us on our Discord, right? We've got our own Adobe UK Discord. Get in there, get involved with the community. It's lovely to see people chatting in there. I don't get into it as often as I'd like to, just at the moment, but yeah, it's very good. And Tim's just popped the link for that into the chat. Sandrine is saying, do you know, Tony, you can have a box for your True Match and your Pantone books. Just see Sandrine's merch in the lobby. Well, my Pantone collection has a baggy box thing around it. The True Match one was a gift from Creative Pro Network for me. So, but maybe I'll check out your merch. We won't stalk you, honest. You just can't get involved in my film. I'm there for work. What is the Pencil Museum? Well, the clue's in the name, Kirsty. It's a museum of pencils that's from Derwent. And it's got, I think, the world's largest functioning pencil in it. But interesting. Yes, I do know that's where you are, Gareth. Yeah. And quite happy to meet up as well. Really good. Swing by the Isle of Man. Yeah, I don't think my truck can do water. Yeah, I've got the back copter. True. Here we go. I mean, you can tell by the speed at which you're putting things together, David, that you've got your workflow nailed, haven't you? You kind of.
Yeah, because you remember before you were saying you have a lot of layers, but I mean, it feels a lot, but I don't know, it's very smooth to do at the same time because you just work piece by piece. So
Nice. Tim's saying that the pencil is almost as tall as he is. True. So David and I were chatting in the green room about perhaps, because David, like myself, is a bit of a Posca on footwear chap. So I'll bring my Posca, some of my Posca Halloween Converse to the spooky game show so you can see them. But did you draw for Nike? Did you draw?
Yeah, it was like a collaboration with Fitness and Nike for the new how do you call it, the chalkboard Metcons. Yeah, a lot of shoes. It was nice. It was nice. I think
and that's on your.
You will find it
on your website, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's on davidoku.com. About, I think, or actually just on the straightforward home page to that, you can see some of that work. So yeah, we do that sort of stuff, which is good. And we were talking about doing a collab on a pair of shoes for Tim.
Definitely.
Size 17, man, that's a big canvas.
Huge. But that means our creative juices will
both
flow.
of your feet in my... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, I will happily have a coffee with you, Gareth, up there. That'd be fantastic. You're absolutely right, Sandrine. I am teetotal. 2 years in sometime shortly, next week or whenever it is. Yeah. The Isle of Dogs is not as much fun as it sounds, Tim. Not Tim, Steve. Yep, and Gareth has helpfully put a link to the bigger pencil on there. Sandrine's bought refillable Posca-like pens. I've seen those. Let me know how you get on with them. And Kirsty loves a great sketchbook. Do you keep a sketchbook, David?
Myself? Yeah, but let's say like, I was telling this to my friends as well. I don't really like, I have a sketchbook, but then I end up giving paper by paper to people I know or friends. But I'm starting to bring more material together because sometimes I feel like I sketch a lot. But when I look at what I have home, I literally have just new notebooks with a couple of pages drawn on them. Because I don't like to attach myself to my artwork, if it makes sense. Just, you know. But will be good for the future. At least you have like it's like a history book. This is what I used to do in the past. It's nice to have.
I like that. I love revisiting stuff like that. I do. I have so many sketchbooks. I have something that I carry around with me all the time, but I've got a lot of desks at the various places I
feel
work.
like back in the days when I used to look my old work, sometimes I think because your mind was younger, you go in different places with your creativity, if it makes sense. Rather when you're more established, you kind of tend to go deeper within a style. Rather when you're young, I don't know, there's something in your mind that is an extra, I don't know, you have more creativity because your head just go literally everywhere.
I don't think you lose that with age until you stop exploring things. I think that's the point at which it stagnates, is if you stop walking out of your comfort zone, if you stop trying different foods, listening to different music, reading different stuff you wouldn't ordinarily read. Yeah. That's when the rot sets in, I think. Yeah. You know, and that's the thing, when you're young, you're quite open to exploring all sorts of things. The main
No, but
thing
don't
is
get me
never
wrong.
to let
I
that go.
think I'm still like that, but
Yeah.
I think
Well, you're still young.
No, don't get me wrong. I get it, but I think like when I was like a teenager, I was out every day. I was like going in different places all the time, exploring childhood. You know, like it's because you do so much. The influence of your mind is like you was doing much more when you was younger. Rather when when you're older, you work, you do meetings, you do things, but you're more into your career. I think you have more inspiration as a kid because you're just free. I don't know. That's how I see it, but still I get what you mean. Like it's almost like what we were saying before. If you don't try new things and improve and try different things, you will not carry on in this creative industries because you have to evolve.
Yeah. What is there anything particularly you've done differently recently, or been influenced by recently in your work or your life? Is there anything you thought, I've never looked at that before, or read that before, or listened to that before?
I think I've always grown within time. So let's say, as we were saying, like I started black and white freehand on paper, walls, on everything with just markers. And then I said, how can I use this skill but bring it to a next level? I did digital. So I broke that boundary as well. Then I became too heavy digital. Then I said, okay, let me do animation. Now I'm looking into VR. Now I want to look into 3D. And I just think it doesn't matter if you have your personal style. Every platform, every program will give you definitely a different feel and look of your work. Even 3D is scary, but I can already imagine like doing my stuff 3D with all those little elements real. It's just fantastic. Will be like my mind is I will be going crazy for it, but it's step by step, because at the end of the day I think it's also difficult to have so many programs in your mind and then being able to give the 100 in all of it. It comes by step, and eventually if I move to 3D, I can see myself doing less digital, if it makes sense. So it's almost like you try to abandon the old habits to break into the new ones. So
okay, so 3D has so many possibilities. I like taking elements and then cloning them across the surface. I love doing that.
Nice, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just mad. Sometimes for no reason at all other than just to look at them. I love it.
But I think it's especially when you do the matte things where beautiful things come out, because that's the way of experimenting. Like even if you put a lot of things, you might do a super mistake and you're like, wow, but it kind of create that feel, and then you just extract that and apply it in the right way the next time. It just gives you that extra that you need.
Absolutely. So Sandrine is still talking about the refillable Posca-like pens. They're from a brand called Montana. Is that the same Montana that do the spray paint? That's the question.
I think so, because Montana does markers that you can refill, you can put ink, you can do your
So I just stick with Posca. I still stick with Posca, and I stick with Tria markers. I'm just, And Claudia's 6 months teetotal. Congrats. Nice. Reverb Mike says you have more energy when you're young. Yeah, I've still got tons of energy. I don't think I'm particularly young. But... Oh, 5 not 6, 5 6. Fine, it'll be 6 very shortly, Claudia. Gareth loves cloners in cinema. Yeah. Yeah, oh no, it's the same brand of marker, yeah. Oh, and happy accidents. Sandrine in the chat is saying the worst is when you're doing something wrong, but it turns out beautiful. Serendipity. There are serendipitous, but then you have no idea how to repeat it.
Yeah, fair enough as well.
Yeah,
a lot of times you're like, wow, this is fantastic, and then you go into it again, you're like, just staring at the...
How did I do that last time? Yeah. So nice bit of masking on that edge there just to resolve that C. Very good. Fail harder. Yes.
Okay, again.
Yeah, I think you probably are taxing your machine these days, aren't you?
Trust me, a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's almost there. We said it. I need to say bye-bye very soon to my machine.
Yeah. It's hard though, isn't it? Because one of the problems I think at the moment, because things change so quickly,
Yeah,
is knowing at what point in the curve do you buy a new machine? You know, if you have to, you know, buy them as infrequently as possible, you know, at what stage do you do it?
I think depending on what work you focus on at the moment, I would say like to everybody that do like 3D, definitely they need, I would recommend sometimes even moving to a PC. It's just for how much, I mean, it's easier to take a PC and turn it to a super tower computer that give you that rendering process that will be so smooth and quick. But with Mac, sometimes there are limits on certain things. So depending on what you do, then maybe a machine with the new, how do you call it? The iCore, the little chip
i7.
inside.
Yeah.
They might work
i7,
better
i9. Yeah.
performance-wise, but then the memory also play like, if you work with music, graphics like this, you need a lot of memory, you know, so.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Don't worry, it happens. You know, this isn't a TV program, so we like it real when things like don't work properly, or when, you know, when you've got to restart, because that's real life. But sometimes, you know.
Try to get a little brush. This.
Ooh.
That's what I love doing when you do like some weird patterns. Just stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah, this is what. So your machine, the machine you're working on now, is an iMac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the only downsides with iMacs. They're difficult to upgrade, aren't they? Difficult
I
to
think
increase.
my edition, so like the 2012-13 ones, they are difficult, but anything after that is easier now to,
right,
because you can just open it, put your RAM inside and everything.
Yeah.
Or you can even do it online on things. I don't know. Need to check again.
Right. Okay.
But definitely like newer edition have more support, rather who is like me that have like the old machine is still, I mean, there are limits to everything, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. So I just wanted to show the result of it. So at least you see, it's very simple. This literally was like 10, 15, not even 10, 15 minutes. And I think it's just all about always, as you said, maybe it's always better if you're not confident with it, it's always better to have like a storyboard behind it, just to see how you want elements to move. Then as soon as you have a understanding of how to put the layers in place, you can literally do anything. This can be like a window and a face is coming out, and you can literally use just like a mask to cut out the head coming out from a hole. So a lot of people say, wow, but it looks a bit 3D because of the angle I gave it already on the Illustrator, but then it's still a flat surface. It's just an angle giving that perspective, you know?
Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know, it's just so satisfying to look at.
It's very simple, it's very basic stuff. But I think that's the beauty of it, and that's why today I wanted to show a little bit of After Effects. I know I didn't put all the little tools inside, but I think what you really need is press the keyboard. So the important one are R, P, RP for position scale and the R for rotation. But apart that, I mean, it's really about the keyframing. There's also a way, like, I've noticed one thing. When I started, I was scared of expression a lot. And I thought, wow, but it's like coding for me. So for me, it was just like numbers, a lot of letters. Yeah. But if you look a little bit into expression, one thing that I find very nice, especially online on YouTube, you can find so many expression online that simplify so many little things that you want to do. Let's say you want a screen like this and you want to minimize it in 1,000 different screens and then bring it back up just to one. There's literally one expression you can put within the position and the scale side, and it will create that effect of 1,000 pictures, and then just by deleting a few, it will become 4, then just 1. So I think one thing I can suggest to people is also look into expression a little bit. Yeah. Because then there's obviously
even a little bit is useful. Yeah, absolutely.
Massive help, I think.
Claudia in the chat is saying, "Bravo, David, è bellissimo."
Grazie mille. Grazie mille.
Fantastic. So it's saying amazing. There you go. Florentino is saying, is this not possible if you use Adobe Animate? Yeah, you could do this in Adobe Animate. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. You can. Yeah.
I think it's just about understanding that program. If you use that program and it works for you, I think it's a very similar process. It's just maybe your eyes lead in different position of the screen rather than After Effects.
I mean, the main difference is that you can draw natively in Animate as well. So it's got its own drawing engine, which I love. It's a great drawing engine. But yeah, it's but After Effects is easier to work with, and you get a lot more bang for your buck out of After Effects. Unless you're doing stuff for digital experiences, in which case, it's whichever works for you. I agree with you. So no. Well, any other words? I mean, we're approaching time. We're okay if we finish a few minutes early if we need to. But any other? Let's just see if there's any more questions in the matter. We were talking about computers a little while ago. That sparked a whole conversation about machines. Just there. So I'm just going to have a quick scan through to see if the. Wow. Okay. There's some conversations about dodgy inks, which is interesting. Yes. No, I think we're good. There's nothing popping up right now, but yeah, people saying très bien, says Tim.
Très bien, merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Tim saying, would you save this as a GIF? Is this one you'd push to Media Encoder?
Yeah, I would say that would be a GIF. You know what I say, as I said, I'm not really an animator. Anything for me that is looping is considered a gift. When I say I'm not an animator, I think animation can be either step-by-step animation, or you can have that morphing effect of animation, that a whole transition can transform into one thing that is a bit more like a more complex stage, I guess. Yeah. So anything that is simplistic like this, I would call it definitely say is I would say is a gift.
Yeah.
GIF art, let's say maybe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can you call it GIF art actually? Yeah.
Well, you can do if you want. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely you can. Yeah, GIF art or GIF-like. I don't know. It's all good. Anyway, thank you so much for spending some time with us and letting us watch you work through your process. Just great stuff. I missed that small loop at the end, and I didn't see that from the brush. That works lovely. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep. There we go. No, it's got so many levels to it now. Yeah, it's just crazy.
But you see, even like this, it just go crazy. And if you make it slower, then maybe you can see better, like an animation. But I mean, it's up to the person. Like sometimes, let's put it down. So let's you see, you can just put it slow. But that's what I love, like about having the pre-compose settings, that doesn't matter how the finished piece will look like, you can still make some additional animation till it becomes just something very crazy or even more dynamic than what you expected before to be.
Yeah. It's tricky sometimes to know when to stop as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But I think that's part of it as well, because sometimes, it's like too much is not always good, but when you're exploring, too much can be good. So it's like, it just have different outcomes. Then I think if you want to do like an all over pattern, that maybe like a jacket with your prints and then your little prints become that VR pattern, then it will look cool. Like somebody will walk with a jacket and this will be literally like a looping cool that is all over printed. So I don't know, your fantasy can go more crazy than just the screen as well, I think.
For sure. Yes, indeed. No, it's been absolutely great. People have really enjoyed it. It's saying, very nice stream. We'll come again. Well, thanks, Sandrine. We'll see you on Friday. Michelle's saying, thank you for the great stream. Thanks, guys. That was great. Thank you so much, David and everyone, for this great stream. And as Tim is saying, we'll be back on Friday, Adobe Live back on Friday at midday for the continuation of the branding crash course with Steph. So we'll be seeing that on Friday. But for now, from us, it's don't forget to register for Max. Have a great rest of your week. See you on Friday. Join us on Discord. See you later. Thanks, David. It's been epic.
Thank you very much, guys.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye.
you.